Hi everyone, I'm Shani Dhanda. My visual description is I'm a South Asian woman with a short stature. I have brown skin, dark brown mid-length hair, and I'm wearing a pink dress trying to pass it off as purple. And I have the honour of having the closing words for today's celebration, an opportunity that I really relished when I was asked. Hasn't it been a brilliant morning?
Yeah.
Can we please give a huge thanks and round of applause to the Purple Tuesday team, because coming this far, so congratulations Mike and to the team. And we're really proud to be working in partnership with all of our sector partners who help us raise awareness of the value of disabled customers through Purple Tuesday to even more businesses and influence positive changes to the customer experience for disabled people and our families 365 days of the year. So a big thank you to you all today for your continued support. We simply couldn't do it without you. I'm a very proud ambassador of Purple Tuesday, and some of you may know me from my campaigning work or maybe as a broadcaster on shows such as Rip Off Britain and Loose Women. But I'm also an award-winning disability inclusion specialist and listed as one of the most influential disabled people in the UK. Wow. I was born with a very rare genetic condition and I have a short stature, which means that I live in a world that simply isn't designed for me. Unless I go to Kidzania. Has anyone been to Kidzania? I love it. It's designed for kids. I love it. At the age of 16, I really struggled to enter the job market, and it wasn't until after applying for over 100 jobs, it wasn't until I removed any mention of my condition was I then offered an interview and I got offered a job straight away. I'm a very proud Brummie, but I live here in London. But it's a city with basically no accessible housing and I can't use public transport because, you guessed it, it's not accessible. But the reason I'm sharing all of this with you is because the condition that I was born with doesn't disable me. It's the barriers and the bias that I face that disable me. And as a consumer myself, I'm largely excluded from the shopping experience. Clothes aren't designed for body types like mine. And in the words of Stephanie Thomas, who is the founder of a lifestyle blog called Curatable, there are more clothing lines available for dogs than disabled people. Shops can be difficult to navigate, and many websites aren't compatible with assistive technology, meaning retailers are losing billions and billions of pounds and dollars and all of the currencies every year by allowing this exclusion. We know about it, but we're allowing it, aren't we? And in these scenarios, I'm paying for things that I know won't suit my needs, but I literally have no other choice. And it's the small things that actually make the biggest difference. So retailers not offering free returns are failing to understand that when I have to buy clothes, I have to buy the size that I think I am, a size smaller and a size bigger, because I have to try them all on and keep whichever one works best and then tailor it. So I choose to shop with retailers that offer me free returns. Or an in-store experience. I spend a lot more money in stores that have baskets with wheels because I can't carry a heavy basket and I can't really push a trolley. So they get all my money. And inaccessible design and negative attitudes perpetuated by the lack of inaccurate representation are major barriers for disabled people, like me, who have multiple marginalised identities, to be connected with others, to be confident and to live independently. But it doesn't have to be this way. Because if we all use the principles of inclusive design at the heart of the decisions that we make, or in the products and the spaces that we create and design, then we'd be much more successful in making most things accessible to the whole range of human diversity that exists in the world. And when we want to reach people of all different backgrounds, we have to be really specific on how we're doing that. It's not good enough just to assume that we will reach them because we want to, right? We have to be specific with our actions, actively seeking to include those that we may not have represented and have been historically excluded, either purposefully or accidentally. And recent research by McKinsey shows that companies who have actively spearheaded diversity and inclusion strategies are 35 more times likely to achieve above average returns, with business performance increased by 31%. Is there anyone in this room who doesn't want that? Right? We all want that. And diversity and inclusion in retail, advertising and marketing matters for brands who want to show that they care and actually that you really get it. Because as marketeers, you spend your time communicating with people about your brand, service or products, offering solutions to our problems as consumers. But how believable are you if your marketing campaigns don't truly reflect your audience? And according to a global study, 72% of people feel most advertising doesn't reflect the world around them. 63% don't see themselves represented in most advertising, and 60% don't see their community of friends, family, and acquaintances represented accurately. So this shows us that the relationship that many people have with brands is superficial. Marketing campaigns and brands are really failing to create deep connections between brands and audiences. And as Mike mentioned earlier, consumers, especially the youngest generations, are expecting more from these messages and businesses and brands than just messages and details about the latest seasonal sale. But it's not good enough to just market inclusiveness or diversity when 57% of consumers are more loyal to brands that commit to addressing social inequities in actions. And as an inclusion consultant that works with businesses and brands, I've seen firsthand those emails that come in from existing customers and potential customers questioning brands. What are you doing about sustainability? Where are you on a business's climate change? How diverse is your procurement process? I've seen them. This matters to consumers. And activism through consumer power is something we're seeing more commonly from existing consumers and can, of course, affect the growth of acquiring new consumers too. Because at the heart of all this, what we're really talking about is creating genuine relationships, loyalty and trust. But not only is this morally the right thing to do, we all know in this room that it makes really good business sense. And as we've already heard, disabled people have a really considerable spending power worth £274 billion to the UK economy. We have about 14.6 million disabled people in the UK. That equates to about 22% of the population. When we include those currently living with long COVID, for example, that shoots up to 25% of the population. So let's not forget that disability can be permanent, temporary, as well as situational. And of this population, and Mike shared earlier, 83% of disabled people were not born disabled. So the chances are disability is something that is going to affect you personally, whether that's through family, friends, or in your business. Your non-disabled workforce will become disabled at some point, as well as your customers. And I'm really sick of this narrative that disabled people are underrepresented. I don't think we are. I think we're over-excluded. It's not like there's not enough of us. Like we're the largest diversity strand in the world that's growing on average 14% per year. And a report called the Click-Away Pound found that 7 in 10 disabled consumers clicked away from a site because they found it difficult to use. And in 2019, businesses in the UK lost £17.1 billion to inaccessible sites, which in 2019 made up 10% of the total UK spend. So if UK businesses haven't done what's required to make their websites accessible, just imagine how much money they're losing now with the total online spending power worth £250 billion. And I want to just talk about disability on a global scale, because we're talking about a consumer market that is larger than the size of China. Because, as Mike mentioned earlier, disability, the market controls over 13 trillion in disposable income. And our friends and family add another 3.3 billion potential consumers who act on their emotional connection to disabled people. So together, disability touches 73% of global consumers. But yet currently 80% of disabled people consider their experiences to be a failure. Now, I know I'm kind of speaking to an audience that's already converted, but it's really helpful to remember these stats. And I know many of you are probably sitting there thinking, I know all this, we've done some stuff, but what else can we do? So I want to leave you with the following message. I understand that disability inclusion might feel uncomfortable, it might feel unknown, it might feel scary. I know some businesses and brands might be scared that it might get something wrong, but it's also uncomfortable being oppressed and over-excluded. And in my opinion, if inclusion doesn't feel uncomfortable, you're probably not doing it right. Hire experts, such as multicultural and inclusive agencies and consultants. Many are in this room today. Perk will have loads that you can tap into. We can help inform your businesses, and you should allocate funding and budget for training and adoption for cultural competency. But you also need to be okay with knowing that you all have so much to unlearn and learn, because no one knows everything and mistakes are expected. So when you make a mistake, just do better next time, and even better, share your learnings for other people too. But ultimately, remember that you have the power to change the way that people experience the world. Having the ability to bring products, services, messages and ideas to the masses is a privilege, but it's also a responsibility. And I truly believe that all of our struggles in this world are tied to each other, and every decision that we make can either raise or lower barriers to participation in society. So my challenge to everyone here is, what action will you take to improve accessibility? What action are you going to take to ensure that the largest consumer group in the world is not continually over-excluded? Thank you.